So hey Lawn Care Nation, in this video we're going to be talking about this guy, the 32-inch Exmark Staris stand-on mower, coming up. So hey Lawn Care Nation, I've been using this 32-inch Exmark Staris stand-on mower now for about 3 months or so. We are roughly at the halfway point of the 2019 mowing season, with another 3.5 months of actual mowing left to go. So I thought it would be a good time to sit down and talk a little bit about this mower, how I have been using it, how I've liked it so far, any challenges that I've seen using this particular model, especially from someone who's never used a stand-on mower before, and also to get a chance to answer some of the common questions that I've gotten from you guys on social media about this particular stand-on mower. So just a quick disclaimer that this 32-inch Staris stand-on mower was given to me by Exmark Manufacturing for me to use and review in my lawn care business. And the thoughts and opinions that I share in this video are solely my own. In fact, Exmark doesn't even know that I'm making this particular video and answering some of your guys' questions. So let's get into it. So overall, the mower has performed really well, and it does what it was set out to do, and that is to conquer those small, dense city-type lots, to get into those really tight backyards where other mowers you typically wouldn't be able to fit them down. And this has been stellar in that respect. I've been able to get it through a lot of backyards that I've never been able to use anything other than the 21-inch mower that I've been using for the past 14 years. So working in the dense city, a lot of times it's not so much the gate that is the problem, but it could be just the pathway to the backyard. And with this mower, I'm able to go on those small tight sidewalks that are typically found alongside a house in a dense city type neighborhood and get it to the backyard. In that respect, this machine has performed really well. So with that being said, if a small gate is your biggest Achilles heel when it comes to servicing residential lots, then this mower is fantastic for those types of scenarios. So as I said earlier, this has been my first real experience with a stand-on type mower. And generally, I have to say that I'm really pleased with the performance of it. For the past few years, I've been using a 36-inch Exmark turf tracer with a sulky to mow some of the lawns that I've been doing with this Staris. And I've experienced a lot of knee and ankle pains from using the sulky with the walk behind. One of the things that I noticed with using the stand-on mower was that comfort level was a lot more, and there was a lot less issues with those knees and joints because your legs stay perfectly straight. They're not pivoting or twisting or feeling any of those bumps and jolts that you do when you're riding on a sulky. The other thing that I really enjoyed about using a stand-on mower is that you can lay those stripes. So with the walk-behind mower with the sulky, it's a lot more difficult if you're trying to use the sulky to make perfect stripes on a lawn. And generally, I end up just mowing lawns in big circles because it's just too hard and too tight to turn and do straight lines with. It's not impossible, but definitely way easier on a stand-on mower to lay straight stripes and to mow in a striping pattern versus using a walk-behind with a sulky. The other thing that's really nice with the stand-on that I discovered is just being able to reverse with it a lot easier than you could with a walk-behind and a sulky. Being that you're on the actual machine itself, just very simple like any other zero-turn type mower. And in that respect, it also wins out over using the walk-behind mower. So one of the most common questions I get with this 32-inch stand-on mower is how does it perform on hills? Well, the area that I work in is full of hills and slopes and berms, and practically every lawn that I do has some sort of a hill or slope on it. So it was the perfect testing ground for that. Now, when I first started using this machine, my first impression was that this machine could not handle hills at all, like absolutely at all. It just felt very, very sketchy. But I remembered my experience when I first got my 36-inch turf tracer and how I absolutely hated those ECS controls, and that it took me months of using it to get fully comfortable with that machine to the point of where I am today, and I can just fly around yards and I'm absolutely proficient in using that machine. So I decided to stay calm, to have some patience and be persistent with using this machine and trying those slopes and those hills. And each and every week I saw myself getting better and better. And I saw that the machine stability was getting better and better. Another thing to note is that I always bag my lawns exclusively with my lawn care business. And having that extra bagging attachment on the side does throw off the balance of weight for this particular machine. In fact, it actually states it in the owner's manual that if you're going to be using the bagger attachment with it, that the weight distribution will be completely different and hill stability will be compromised. So that is one thing to keep in consideration. So I would say now that we're 3 months in using this on hills and slopes, that it has performed better than I initially thought it would, and I can actually mow some of those hills and slopes, but it's still nowhere near the experience that I have with a traditional like 36-inch hydro walk behind that are absolutely legendary on hills and slopes. And that's generally due to it being such a small unit. Now, if you're using the 36, the 44, or any of the other Staris sizes, your result may vary, and especially if you're not using it with a bagger kit. But using the smallest footprint model with that bagger attachment, I would say that it can be a bit of a challenge on hills and slopes. Now, one of the other common questions that I get with this unit kind of goes hand in hand with another question that I get with this unit. And that question is, what is my biggest challenge in using this machine? And the other question that kind of goes hand in hand with it is, do those small rear skinny tires rut lawns? And you can see where I'm going here. Those two questions basically go hand in hand, and it's the biggest challenge that I have using this machine. So this 32-inch Staris stand-on mower faces the same challenges as any other 32-inch stand-on mower, and that's those skinny rear wheels. Now, of course, the manufacturers do this because they don't want those rear wheels to extend past the width of that 32-inch cutting deck, thereby defeating the purpose of having a 32-inch compact stand-on mower. Now, with these units being so well made, in the case of this Exmark Staris 32, hitting the roughly around 750 pound range, and then you add the operator weight on that platform, in my case that's about 200 pounds, you're starting to push close to that 1,000 pound range on those rear tires. Now with me, in my case, because I bag grass, then you add that solid bagger kit, you add the bag itself, you add the weight of the grass as you're mowing, and you're easily into that 1,000 pound range, mowing and putting all of that weight on those skinny rear wheels. So yes, it can rut lawns at times, and you have to be really, really careful. Now what I've noticed is that on flat lawns, it isn't so bad. It's those turns that you're doing, whether you're doing a 3-point turn, I find that I have to be really careful with those. And also when I'm mowing along a slope, because now the weight distribution changes and you get a lot more weight on one single tire. That single tire on the lower side of your slope starts to dig in even more than it would when the weight is distributed evenly over the 2 tires. So those are the 2 conditions that I found, and that has far been by any means the biggest challenge that I have faced using this stand-on mower versus using my 36-inch walk-behind mower. So the only other issue that I've had with this machine while mowing has to do with the factory bagger kit accessory. So if you don't bag your grass, if you're never gonna be having to bag grass, you always side discharge or you mulch, then this issue won't be a problem for you. So what I found is that this unit uses a generally, widely available bagger kit from Exmark. It fits a multitude of different mower models that they make. To get it to work on this unit, there is a 3-inch adapter that goes between the deck and the bagger kit itself. What I found is once it's installed is that the whole bagger kit assembly here sits about a 1/2 inch lower than the deck itself. So if you're mowing on a completely flat yard, it doesn't cause any issues. But if you're going on a hilly or some sort of a slope or something like that, you have to be careful about the direction that you're mowing at, because I found that if you're mowing with the bagger kit facing, say, a bit of a hill or a berm, because that adapter plate and the whole bracket assembly there sits about a 1/2 inch lower, it can actually dig into the turf if you're coming up against an area where there's an elevation change, say a slope or a berm, or even around a tree where the root zone sort of starts to lift up. If you're going around that tree and you have that bagger kit facing the tree, there's a good chance that that front leading edge of the metal bracket is going to dig into the soil as you're mowing around that obstacle. Now, just to be clear, it's not the bag itself. The actual cloth bagger with the plastic bottom on it doesn't cause any issues. It's the actual mounting bracket here, this plate, and the leading edge of the actual bracket that is attached to the deck itself is where most of the issues come from. That lower edge there that sits about a 1/2 inch lower than the deck itself will dig into the turf if there is a bit of an elevation change and you're mowing along it with the bagger in that direction. So the solution, of course, like I said, is just to be mindful of the direction that you're mowing and to mow in the opposite direction so that the bagger kit is facing away from any berms or slopes or trees and things like that. So it's also important to note with that issue with the bagger kit, with it sticking down, a 1/2 inch lower than the deck, that I mow all of my lawns at the 2.5 inch setting. So if you're in an area where you're mowing into the 3s, the 3.5s, the 4s, the 5 inches, then that's probably not going to be as much of an issue for you. But as you get, into areas where you're mowing those shorter heights, then of course it's going to have more of a chance of that bottom leading edge on that bagger kit of hitting the ground and creating a problem. So generally, that's about it with this 32-inch Staris stand-on mower. Overall, I've been really pleased with the machine, like I say, to be able to do stripes with it. It's been obviously super reliable being a brand new machine. It's very, very quick, and being able to get it through those, tight areas, to get it through, a lot of gates, to get it into backyards that I've never mowed with anything other than a 21-inch mower has been a pretty neat experience to be able to use something like this on. So that's it for this one, guys. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. Leave a comment down below and let me know if you have any questions that I didn't cover in this video about the 32-inch Exmark Staris stand-on mower or the factory bagger kit for this particular unit. If you like this type of Exmark product video, I'll leave another one for you to watch up here in this corner, or I'll leave one of my other videos for you to watch down here in this corner. So that's it for this one, guys. Here's to wishing you guys all overwhelming success and freedom in your lawn care business. Bye for now.